Over here, stranger.
Who's that?
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn, and today we're back at it with another standard deck tech straight out of Edge of Eternity's early access, and this one is one of my favorites. This one's called Black Market, and the idea is we're going Mardu, and we're using Sacrifice, except we're sacrificing artifacts, not creatures. This feels very much like an Aristocrats deck, except we're entirely focused on sacrificing artifacts, and there are an insane amount of overlapping synergies here, making great use of weapons manufacturing, Susurian Voidborn, Ragost, Umbral Zealot, so many crazy new cards that just take this deck and turn it up to 11, and it's absolutely insane. You have to see it in action. It's probably my favorite deck to come out of early access, and one that I can't wait to do more with as soon as this set drops. But before we break down the deck and get to the gameplay, please like the video. It helps me get the video out to so many more people. It helps the channel grow. Honestly means more to me than I can possibly express with words. And make sure you subscribe, because we have tons of content on the way. Deck techs dropping from early access every single day, and we're going to have a 12-hour marathon stream for launch day on Arena with Edge of Eternities. So that's going to happen Tuesday. Catch me live Monday through Friday over at Twitch. That's twitch.tv/quarantinecapricorn. Because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming, and I definitely will be for 12 hours on Tuesday. So come hang out. But for now, let's break down this deck. Alright, so this deck's actually looking super sick. This is Black Market. It is a Mardu deck utilizing artifacts. It's an artifact sacrifice deck. So it's kind of like an Aristocrats deck, but it's solely focused on artifacts. Here we have Weapons Manufacturing, a new card from Edge of Eternity's 1 red and 1 for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, you create a colorless artifact token named Munitions, with when this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. That's all the token does, so it has to leave the battlefield. You have to have ways to make it leave the battlefield in order for it to be relevant. But if almost every card in the entire deck is an actual artifact, it entering will create these munitions tokens, and we can just completely vomit a bunch of them onto the board and just nuke our opponent's face into the ground, which is super fun. They can also double as removal if we need them to as well, so really versatile as long as we have ways to sacrifice them, which is why we're using 4 copies of the new Umbral Zealot. 1 black and 1 for a 3/2, has an ability sacrifice another creature or artifact to surveil one. And even though surveilling one isn't like the greatest payoff in the world, the fact that this is a 4 free sack outlet that costs no mana whatsoever is just nuts. In addition, we've also got 2 copies of Ragost, Deft, Gastronaut, a 2/2 Lobster Citizen for 2 mana in the colors of Boros, and artifacts you control become foods. You can pay 1 mana, tap this guy, and sack a food, and Ragost deals 3 damage to each opponent. But at the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, you untap Ragost. So the key is each of our munitions tokens can be sacrificed by paying 1 mana, and we actually do 5 damage to our opponent's face, which can be insane. And if we happen to just gain a little bit of incidental life along the way, it will untap so that we can do it again on our opponent's turn. And that's where things get crazy, because we're also using Susurian Voidborn, a 3 mana 2/2 that can warp out for 1 black mana. If it does, it stays on the battlefield only until the end of our turn, and then it gets exiled and can be played later for its normal cost from exile. But either way, if it's on the battlefield, whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So this is a way for every single artifact that we sacrifice to drain our opponent out. It's like playing Aristocrats, except we don't necessarily need creatures. There are some creatures in here, and we do have the ability to sack those creatures to get drains as well, which is nice. But this is mostly just all artifacts to take advantage of this drain. And if we happen to drain while sacking an artifact when using Ragost's ability, we're going to gain that 1 life so that he will untap, and we can use his ability all over again on our opponent's turn, which means potentially 10 damage every turn cycle for just 2 mana and sacrificing 2 munitions, which gets insane. We also have 2 copies of Agatha's Soul Cauldron in this deck, and Not only is it an artifact that's going to trigger the weapons manufacturing when we play it, but it's also something that can exile the Umbral Caller Zealot or the Ragost from the graveyard to give those sacrifice abilities to any of our creatures so that we can just keep having sacrifice outlets even if our opponent kills the key creatures we might need to do it, which is amazing. And we're not worried about this being legendary because we can always just sacrifice an extra copy to our sacrifice things that we're trying to sacrifice artifacts to anyway, so it's never going to be completely useless, especially when on play it's going to give us those munitions tokens as well. The rest of the deck is built around just taking advantage of all of this. All of our 1-drops are artifacts. We've got Dusk Rose Reliquary. Not only is it an artifact that triggers the weapons manufacturing, but we can sacrifice artifacts to it to trigger our drains from the Susurian Voidborn or to sacrifice our munitions token, and then we get to exile any artifact or creature, so it's probably the best piece of removal for a deck like this. We've also got 3 copies of Grim Bauble, very similar, can only kill small creatures, but it will be an artifact, so it will trigger the munitions tokens and be sacrifice fodder for later as well. We're also running 4 copies of Market Gnome and Clockwork Percussionists. These are the key creatures we want to be playing on turn 1 if we can, but they're also artifacts, so they'll make us munitions tokens if we have a weapons manufacturing down first, and either way, when we sacrifice one of these, we get card advantage. The Clockwork Percussionist will exile a card for us to play, the Market Gnome will draw us a life, and the Market Gnome will also gain us a life incidentally, so if we happen to sack that when we have Ragost out, we get to untap Ragost and use it all over again on our opponent's turn, even if we aren't, you know, getting the drains from a Voidborn in the process, which is really, really nice. In the 2-drop slot, we've got 2 Bartolomes as another sack outlet, and it's another thing we can exile with Agatha's Soul Cauldron. And then we've also got 2 copies of Legion Extruder, a little bit more removal, that can also be an artifact we can sack if we want, be an artifact that triggers the weapons manufacturing, and be a sacrifice outlet for our munitions tokens if we need to. Pay 2 mana, tap it, sack a munitions token. Not only do we do the 2 damage to whatever we want, but we make a 3/3 golem in the process as well. In fact, we could just keep sacking golems to make golems if we want, just to trigger the burn off the Voidborn if we get close enough to killing them, and it's pretty nuts. We're running 1 copy of Tarian's Journal. It's a way to sacrifice our artifacts to draw a card without spending mana, which is awesome. Alternatively, we can use the other ability to turn it into a land that can start getting back our key creatures if they're dead. Stuff like the Voidborn, or the Umbral Caller Zealot, or the Ragost. We've also got 2 copies of Mephitic Draught, just a really good card for drawing, and since it's good sacrifice fodder, it draws us another card when we sack it. It gets even better in a deck like this. And then 4 Fanatical Offering is kind of perfect, because not only do we get to sack an artifact to this and draw cards to draw into more gas, but we make a map token, which can then be another artifact to sacrifice and just keep things rolling. So I think this deck is absolutely nuts. I'm going to continue to iterate on this as soon as the set drops. I think that there is a Jund version of this. There might be a Naya version of this. There might even be a 4-color version of this because there's so many cool cards that interact with artifacts in this set. We're mostly using the new shock lands, or I should say new to standard shock lands, along with all of the verges for our mana base so that we always have untapped mana. And then we've got 2 copies of Raucous Theater to round it out and just 1 starting town just to get us enough of the colors that we need. But that's the deck. It was honestly kind of insane. I can't wait to do more with this as soon as the set drops. Let's check out the games. Alright, this looks like a pretty good opening hand. We're going to keep this. We are going to keep it up against Lone Fox, my Brewmaster-in-Chief. Lightstall Inquisitor. I get to choose a card to get exiled. How wonderful. We'll do the Fanatical Offering. I think we need to make sure... We'll start with the theater. That's fine. Turn 2, we can play weapons manufacturing, and then we can start playing all of our stuff. about to do some wild, wild things. Wild, wild things. We play Legion Extruder, kill one of his creatures. And then we Dusk Rose Reliquary, kill another creature by sacking the munitions, and then exile another. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Kill you. Dusk Rose Reliquary. Sack you. Kill you. Get another munitions. Exile you. Yeah, we are going to take another 2 and go down to 7, which is scary. But I think we're stabilized at this point. Sack the munitions. Do 2 damage to the Inquisitor. Get another one. And exile the 𝐒𝐿𝐴. I think we want to get out the Bartolomé. Get it out there, get the beef on the board, start doing the thing. We could have held up the Legion Extruder, which also kind of felt good, because we could just make a 3/3 and kill something with 2 toughness when he plays it. But I think it's important to get our creature out there. I think it's important. Sack you. 2 to the Zenith. Sack you. 2 to the Zenith. Swing. Let's just play the creature. We could have done the Offering or the Extruder. We could have held either of those up, which would have been great. I think it's just better to get pressure down and try to end the game as quick as possible. Sky Knight Squire. Descendant of Storms. Sacred Foundry. I'm a little bit hesitant here. Let's hold this guy back. We are at 7. It's going to take 5. Interesting. Well, we'll do this. See if we can draw into an untapped land. Blazemire Verge. We don't have an artifact to trigger the weapons manufacturing. That's the biggest issue. We don't have to play this yet. I think we hold up the Extruder. We end the turn. We can sack the map token to make a 3/3 blocker. do that. Warp this guy in. We can just sack everything and kill him. That's my thought, at least. Grim Bauble, make a munitions, kill a dude. Best bet is probably just swing at this point and see what he does. Is he roping me? So we drain with the Voidborn whenever anything dies, including artifacts. Which means we can kind of just sack our whole board at this point. Nice. And then I think we just win. Yeah, we just sack everything. And he's toast. Toasty. This looks pretty good. We're gonna be a little bit slow because we need to Fable Passage for red on 1, but I think we can make it work. Or maybe not. Maybe we kill the Llanowar Elves on 1. That seems better to me. Gene Pollinator. Pretty good card. It's a pretty good card. I would love to have double red. I don't think that's going to happen. Play Ragost and a Percussionist next turn. Sentinel, sure. Would you like to make one more mana with your Gene Pollinator? Maybe to use your map token. Alright, Blazemire Verge. We definitely want to get Ragost out. So we'll swing 4. End the turn. They're all foods. Delicious foods. Sure. It's my turn. Alright. We're gonna find, I think, white, red. White, white, or red. Probably white. Let's see. Let's see. Sack the Percussionist. Oh, we already played a land. That's a bummer. Should have done that first. Yep. Should have done that first. Pass the turn. If we had had an aristocrat style dude out to drain when we did that, this would be untapping at the end of turn. And we could do it again on his turn, which would be really good. I just got a really good idea. I just got a really good idea. Fanatical Offering. Give me all the things. Sacred Foundry is still there. Well, at this point it makes sense to not take damage. We'll play you out. Sack the Market Gnome. We draw, we gain life, we untap the Ragost. Pass a turn. Can't believe we got all this land though. My god. Maybe we need to come down on land even a little bit more. This event ends in an hour and 45 minutes. Flood Pit's Drowner. Why didn't this untap? Oh, is it still my turn? Yeah, I think that's what's going on. It's still my turn. That's why. I thought it was his turn. I'm like, why is this not untapped? Alright, so everything's a merfolk, I assume. Sliver. You're doing the sliver thing. Which means if you have the Thrumming Hive pool, you can play it. 5 cost reduction plus the 1 mana. I mean, we're just gonna kill him. So, no blocks. Three, we just need one more artifact. Or that. That works too. Actually, does that work, though? Well, yes, because we can sack to the Zealots. So now we tap the Ragost, sack the Grim Bauble. He takes 4. And then we just sack the Zealot, trigger the Voidborn. The Voidborn. And he's toast. Toasty. 3D. I think we can keep this. This actually looks pretty good. We'll start with the Percussionist. Get in for damage. I might just Fanatical Offering next turn. I guess it depends what we draw. Opponent's got Candy Trail. Sacred Foundry. Should have played it tapped, actually. We'll play the Fanatical Offering. It would have been better to play Sacred Foundry tapped and the other Clockwork Percussionist. But since I played an untapped land, I want to be as mana efficient as possible. And we're just going to do it like this. Play a land. Do we want to just play out the Voidborn? No, I think we want to do it like this. Swing in. Get the beef down. Get the beef down. Does he have a creature we need to worry about? No, he has a Simulacrum Synthesizer. Which is going to be a big problem real quick. He probably has a United Battlefront next turn. Which means we really want to be as aggressive as possible. So I think we warp one dude, hard cast the other one, get in for a bunch of damage, and then hit the Percussionist, drain for another 2. Put him at 11. End the turn. End the turn. Pinnacle Star Cage. Well, that's a bummer. At least some of his things go away too, though. Which means his guy's going to be a lot smaller. Oh, he did the wrong order. He did the wrong order. That's the same mistake I made the first time I ran that with Synthesizer. Did it in the wrong order. Iron Crag. United Battlefront? Yeah, so now he's going to get some big guys, but he's close to dead. We only need to sacrifice 5 things. Well, we'll drain for 2. Now we need to sacrifice 7 more things. Which is kind of a bummer. But since he did hit the Saw Blades, he doesn't get to trigger it a second time, which is nice. My turn. Does he have a thing to do? Oh, he's got that. That's fine. That's fine. So we'll go Grim Bauble. Dusk Rose Reliquary. Sack the Grim Bauble. Get him to 6. Eat you. Play the Zealot. This is better in our hand as a bluff. Pass. We can get him to 3. I probably should have attacked. Oh, I should have got him to 4 and attacked. That was a misplay. For some reason, I thought they all had Summoning Sickness. They didn't. Candy Trail. No 3-drops. Pretty close to dead, buddy. Excuse me. He's digging. But not enough, unfortunately. Sure. There's the weapons manufacturing. He would have been at 5 right now. And we'd be able to get him to 1, potentially. Perilous Snare. What's he gonna hit? Why can't I use this one? Is it until... Oh, for as long as it remains tapped. Interesting. We also could have sacked the Dusk Rose Reliquary. We probably should have, to be honest. Yeah, we should have. We would have got him down to 5. Station. Go ahead, station again. What would you like to tap down? Market Gnome. Market Gnome. I think we gotta save it as a blocker. I think we gotta save it as a blocker. Thousand Moon Smithy triggers. Another braided net. Damn. That's a problem. Makes another Perilous Snare. Oh no. We need to make sure the next card that we draw is the right card. I guess it doesn't matter because we're gonna take lethal, right? Yeah, unfortunately, he's got 3 attackers. So we're just dead. And double nets. That was very unfortunate. We got our manufacturing super late when we were out of gas. And we also got kind of too many lands. Alright, this looks pretty good. We're going to keep it. We do need to get to black mana. But at the very least, we've got the Percussionist into Ragost. Ragost? Ragost? Ragost. I think it's Ragost. I think it's Ragost. Do we get Ragost down? Or do we get weapons manufacturing down? I think we do Ragost. Smash. Just to try to be as aggressive as possible, since we don't have really artifacts to play to trigger the weapons manufacturing yet anyway. We're way more reliant on a top deck if we play that. Station. Station. I mean, I guess it makes more sense to just swing with it and do 2 rather than sack something and do 3. So we probably should have just let that come into play tap, to be honest. But now he's going to think we're holding up some kind of instant speed removal, which isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. Bitter Triumph, sure. What's cool is if we get the Soul Cauldron, it doesn't matter too much. He is stationing up that Avendo. He is hellbent on it. Do we eat one of the Llanowar Elves? If he can't cast what's in his hand now, it's going to be even harder if we get rid of the elves, right? Yeah, let's do this. Play the Duskrose Reliquary. And have as much mana left over to potentially play whatever we exile off of it. Play... I guess probably an Umbral Collar Zealot to get some aggression on the board. And then end the turn. So we can sack the munitions token whenever we want to kill something, if we want to. I assume he makes the 2 dudes and then maybe uses them to station. I'm going to do this now, specifically because I want to surveil. Let's play Tarian's Journal, trigger the weapons manufacturing, sack the weapons manufacturing to the Tarian's Journal, or the munitions token at least, kill the 1/1. Draw, play a land, swing and kill Ashiok. And then we'll go Market Gnome, get another weapons manufacturing, and Bartolomé. End the turn. My turn. More land, of course. We will sack the munitions to kill his blocker so that we can get through for more damage than what the munitions would have been. Does he have some kind of removal in hand? He's thinking about using the mana from the elves to use it or something. Swing, swing. Sack that, get a counter to do an extra point of damage, and draw a card. I guess we'll just play another Zealot, hold up the offering, and pass. We have, like, all the control in the world at this point. The charm to get some things back. Nice. I don't know if it's enough, but it's definitely good. We don't have anything great to sacrifice to the Fanatical Offering, unfortunately. So I think we're just gonna hold on to it. I think we just kill him. Munitions, target that. Reliquary, target that. Sack the munitions. 2 damage to his face. Draw a card. And then we smash him with all the dudes. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.